When I first played Sonic Racing CrossWorlds earlier this year, in February's closed network test, I walked away from it feeling cautiously optimistic. While it certainly didn't seem like it was on track to match the extreme highs of 2012's Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, one of my very favorite kart racers of all time, it still felt more inspired to me than the middling Team Sonic Racing ever did, and I had a good time during the test. Not a great one, but a good enough one. While I largely praised the general feel of the racing and the track designs alongside the visuals, performance, and soundtrack, my main sticking point was that the moment-to-moment gameplay was too often broken up by the absolutely chaotic nature of the items, with each racer being able to hold up to 3 items, but those items not being nearly as well balanced as those in your average Mario Kart game, or indeed, the previously mentioned All-Stars Racing Transformed. Races during the closed network test often felt like they devolved into a mad scramble to the finish line amid endlessly chaotic, explosive item spamming. But that was then, and this is now. I've just played an updated build of the game at this year's Summer GameFest Playdays, and I'm here to report on how things have changed since then, if at all. First off, to get one of the big questions out of the way, the build I played at SGF was on PS5, same as the closed network test. I know we're all curious about how the Nintendo Switch 2 version plays, and believe me, I asked about that, but that wasn't an option at the show. So, PS5 it is. The SGF demo offered quite a bit more content than the closed network test. 12 playable characters in 3 Grand Prix of 3 tracks each, with a final 4th race in each Grand Prix combining its first 3 tracks into one mega track for one last race to the finish. One thing that really took me aback when I first saw it was the sheer size of the character select screen. Even though this build only included a dozen characters to race as, all of them from the Sonic universe, it really hit me just how huge this game's roster is shaping up to be, with a total of 56 slots so far. Now obviously, we know from recent news drops that a good chunk of these slots are going to be occupied by crossover guest characters like Hatsune Miku and Minecraft Steve, and that's proven to be nothing if not a controversial approach so far. This preview isn't the place for me to have that debate though, so let's keep things moving. As I mentioned earlier, the 3 Grand Prix available offered up 3 tracks each for a total of 9 playable in this build. E-Stadium, Rainbow Garden, Water Palace, Metal Harbor, Sand Road, Colorful Mall, Mystic Jungle, Apotos, and Wonder Museum. Of those, 4 were not included in the previous closed network test and are thus new to this build: Sand Road, Colorful Mall, Mystic Jungle, and Sonic Unleashed's Apotos. As for the mid-track CrossWorlds, the only new one I experienced in this build was the Icy Holoska, also from Sonic Unleashed. Now there may have been more CrossWorlds that weren't in the closed network test, but if there were, I didn't come across them during my hour with the game. So how are we feeling about all this new stuff? Well, pretty snuffin' good by and large. The track designs, both for the main tracks and the CrossWorld interludes, continue to be a high point in my opinion. Colorful Mall and Holoska in particular stood out to me, the former for its multi-tiered design reminiscent of Mario Kart's Coconut Mall, with various alternate routes and sneaky shortcuts to take advantage of. Holoska, on the other hand, isn't as complex design-wise, but stands out for its gorgeous visuals, with auroral, star-filled whales leaping out of icy waters amidst the snow-swept landscape. It was quite the spectacle to behold. As for the moment-to-moment gameplay, well, that's where I'm still a little concerned. On one hand, while I can't say for sure, it does feel to me as though the items have thankfully been toned down a little bit compared to the closed network test. There were still several moments where it felt like I was getting bombarded from every direction, but hey, that can happen in Mario Kart too, and it felt like those moments were at least a bit fewer and further between, which is a good thing. I think they could still stand to go further in toning down the item game, however, and other elements I didn't love from the closed network test remain, such as it being impossible to fail air tricks and the fact that you lose rings every time you even slightly bump into a wall. Not that it's particularly hard to stay topped out on rings given their abundance on the tracks, but still, it just feels like a bit much. But here's the kicker, and this is something I didn't really feel for some reason during the closed beta. When there's not as much going on, the actual racing just feels a bit, well, slow. Now don't get me wrong, the core driving mechanics such as drifting and boosting still feel great to me, and it remains rewarding to chain various types of boosts together. But in those moments when I was coasting at top speed along straightaways, even with my rings maxed out and in a vehicle whose stats were focused on speed, it dawned on me that the racing in this game doesn't feel particularly fast, which seems tantamount to a sin for a racing game headlined by the fastest thing alive. Now, it should be noted that Sega recently announced that Sonic Racing CrossWorlds will include 4 speed levels: Normal Speed, High Speed, Sonic Speed, and Supersonic Speed. The first 3 of these were available to select in the Summer GameFest build, and all my time was naturally spent playing at Sonic Speed. So on one hand, while hope remains that Supersonic Speed will really feel fast and give me that adrenaline rush I look for in arcadey racing games like this, I can't imagine how slow the first 2 speed levels must feel, and I kinda don't want to. So at present, Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is a game that feels a bit at odds with itself. The racing fundamentals are solid, and the presentation is stellar, with a bangin' soundtrack, colorful visuals that really pop, and a rock-solid 60 FPS performance throughout, at least for the gameplay itself. Some background elements on the tracks, such as characters cheering on the sidelines, still render at a lower frame rate. But the slower racing speeds and lower skill ceiling compared to something like Sonic Transformed, in terms of things like air tricks being impossible to fail, seem like they oppose other elements like the brand new gadgets, which let you strategically fine-tune your vehicle with characteristics like an improved slipstream range, or getting a boost when you collide with someone else. In a similar vein, I noticed when I was playing Grand Prix that you're assigned a rival character for each one, and that rival character will trade personal barbs or talk smack with the character you're playing as. Now, as a true Blue Sonic fan, I delighted in seeing unique interactions between characters like Tails and Wave, Sonic and Zaz, Storm and Knuckles, and Omega and Eggman. But that also seems to fly in the face of seemingly more than half the roster being geared toward guest characters, whom Sega have already confirmed won't have any interactions with the Sonic cast at all. Okay, we're almost done here, but before I wrap up, I should note that I poked around in a menu labeled Extras and found 3 options that were unavailable in the demo: Challenges, Titles, and Friendships. Of course, I can't say for sure what these all are yet, but they seem like they're probably pretty self-explanatory. Challenges probably presents you with specific, well, challenges to overcome in each track with certain objectives to aim for or time limits to beat. Titles, like in other racing games as well as various fighting games, probably lets you set one of various unlocked titles to display on your in-game profile for the purposes of online play. And Friendships, similarly, may be a menu that houses the friends you add so you can more easily invite them when playing online. Now, all this is just reasoned speculation on my part, of course, but I felt I should at least point out the existence of this Extras menu and what's in it. For now, I left my summer GameFest appointment feeling like Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is a little unfocused at present in terms of who it's trying to appeal to most. Still, I don't want to come off as feeling too down on the game. Despite the criticisms I've noted in this preview, I walked away from my hour-long demo feeling pretty good. While I highly doubt it'll come even close to dethroning the almighty Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, I'm still looking forward to spending more time with this game in a general sense, and there's yet some time for Sonic Team to tweak and fine-tune things between now and Sonic Racing CrossWorlds' September 25th release. Hey, as always, thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoy what we do here at GVG, make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe to our channel, as every little bit really does help. And if you want even more GVG content, make sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/gvgaming, where we offer perks like early access to new content and live audience participation as we record videos behind the scenes while you watch. Regardless, we genuinely appreciate your support in whatever form it takes, and we'll see you next time.